Welcome back to Canberra ahead of a big week. But first of all, before we get to the budget, some interesting news on pre-selections and one high-profile candidate that you've learned of for the Liberal Party.
Very surprising news here, Kieran. So the New South Wales Transport Minister, David Elliott, appears set to be the Liberal candidate for the federal seat of Parramatta, and is therefore likely to take on former Rudd advisor Andrew Charlton in the race for the marginal Labor seat. Elliott is seriously weighing up running. He's close to Scott Morrison, he's close to Peter Dutton, and he's lived in the seat of Parramatta and was married there. He has not always seen eye to eye with Premier Dominic Perrottet's office over the handling of the recent industrial action on the trains. It is understood the New South Wales Premier is set to rubber stamp Scott Morrison's pre-selections for several seats and will not stand in the way of Elliott attempting to go federal. Perrottet believes the Liberal Party can win Elliott's state seat of Baulkham Hills in a by-election. If all this occurs, Elliott's transport responsibilities in New South Wales may be split up between Rob Stokes and Natalie Ward. David Elliott, of course, faced dramas last month when he woke up and did not know all of Sydney's trains had been halted. Why don't you, under the Westminster system, expect your department to send a car to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning when tens of thousands of commuters are about to be so inconvenienced? Shouldn't that have happened?
Well, as I said at the press conference this morning, Andrew, I mean, they made a judgment call, and I wouldn't, as the minister, have questioned that anyway. They could have done it at 12 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
With respect, that is yes minister stuff. You're the minister, Andrew. You're in charge. Aren't you the one who's supposed to do everything you can to get the trains running and running on time?
Well, Andrew, when I was the minister responsible for fire and rescue, they didn't ring me every time they were sending out a fire truck to an emergency.
So he might be glad to leave that portfolio. No firm decision from Elliott yet about running, but he will be backed if he does it, and it appears more and more likely it will happen. And Andrew Charlton is a captain's pick on the other side, as we know, for Anthony Albanese, despite having already copped it in the Daily Telegraph for having a $16 million house in Sydney's eastern suburbs, Bellevue Hill. Now, I'm told another captain's pick for Scott Morrison is the veteran Family Advocate Commissioner Gwen Cherne to run in Hughes. So she is expected to be pre-selected to run for Craig Kelly's seat for the Liberals. She's a war widow from suicide who has worked in Afghanistan. If this occurs, Gwen Cherne would be beating out Alex Dorr and State MP Melanie Gibbons for the seat. Had Gibbons quit State Parliament, that would have created by-election headaches for Dominic Perrottet in her state seat of Holsworthy, much more marginal than David Elliott's Baulkham Hills. Be interesting to see if Gibbons gets a New South Wales ministerial spot after threatening to run in Hughes, Kieran.